Hello, I'm Alvin. Today I'm with Joe Parkinson, with whom I've had a friendship for the last 55 years. I first met Joe when he worked with my father for a season at the butter factory in Reefton. Joe and his wife have been farming in the Anangahua Valley since 1960. They have developed their farming enterprise to a dairy farm milking 1,300 cows. To allow this number of dairy cows to be managed on the Anangahua Valley farm, additional properties have been purchased to accommodate the 200 replacement heifers. Joe and Ann have recently bought a 500 hectare farm, Copra Falls, to grow out the beef calves to 2-year-olds. Stick around while we go over this fascinating story. Good morning, Joe. How you doing? Thanks for going over this stuff with me, Joe. It's just lovely to catch up with you again and understand your farming enterprise here. But can I start back to, you were born here in Reefton?
No, Hokitika.
Were you?
Yeah,
down
Hokitika. Then went to Gore.
Yes.
And come back here when I was 4.
Did you? Yeah. Good. Your family is, I know your dad's name is Bert. And your mum's name Vi, isn't it?
Yeah.
And your mum was a local, wasn't she? She was...
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, my father was Ikamatua as well, so not far away.
Yeah.
And then he came up here. He was working on the railway.
Yeah. And your mum was a family of bones from out at Blacks Point Way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, your dad, he went off to war with the... I think the Canterbury Rifles, was it, Joe?
Canterbury Mounted Rifles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what area of service did he go? What theatre of war?
He was in Egypt and went through there chasing the Turks up through, well, there were Germans there as well.
Yeah.
And they went right through the...
Up through Palestine and all around there, yeah. Joe, you've got 4 siblings from your family. I remember them all. The oldest being Ellen, or we called her Patty.
Yeah.
Yeah. The next one, Margaret. She was down in Greymouth mainly, wasn't she?
She was, yeah.
Yeah. Then yourself, you're the 3rd oldest, yeah. And the other one is Lou, that I used to help out a lot on his farm. Yeah, so,
that's right.
Yeah, so the 4 of you from there. Good, Joe. So after you went to the Reefton Primary School here, because you're here from age 4, you went to Reefton Primary?
Yeah.
And then the
high school.
The high school, yeah.
Because they were combined in the same building then.
Were they? And
where the Polytech haven't got it now, they sold it again.
So it was all combined in those days?
It was, one side of the centre of the building was primary, and the other side was high school.
Oh, so that was when the population was a lot smaller in Reefton then, and of course...
although there were quite a few kids, and they built that infant room as well. That was an addition to the building in those times.
Right. Well, that's a bit of news to me, Joe. I didn't know that they were combined in those days, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So what year would that have been, Joe?
Well, the school was built in 1933, I think the date was on it.
Yes.
Boys all went to the new high school.
Yes, yeah. So after you've done your secondary school there, you were off to Lincoln University, or they call it now, but it was Lincoln College in those days.
Yeah, it was Lincoln College. More of a practical farming scene then.
Yeah.
You had to have so much practical experience. You did in this particular course, 2 years of study in theory. So Well, I didn't have any, there was no money in our family. We had to start from scratch.
Yes.
And, so we were in a fortunate position in that we could buy small blocks of land, accumulate into one.
Yes.
And that's how we got away with it.
So
they came up at various intervals, so we had a chance to save a bit and
Yeah.
then we had enough equity to get in, get involved and buy them.
Good. So I remember when you were working at the butter factory with my dad there, that's about when you bought your first farm called O'Grady's down the mouth of the Waitahoo and the Anangahua down there.
Yeah, I had O'Grady's then. That
Yeah.
was the first piece.
Yes, and then of course, as the opportunity came up and your equity built in your farms, then you could buy the next ones and so on like that.
That's how we worked it. And, there was a downturn in farming too, of course.
Yes.
It was never a great paying proposition.
Yes.
I suppose I wonder now why you ever did it.
Yes.
But I always had a faith in there'd be a future in farming because it was producing food, and that was the background of my thinking. And, so we accumulated these blocks, and most of them were in sort of semi-developed state. They weren't completely developed, not enough fertiliser, and still cut over areas that were just partially scrapping old logs and so on.
Yes.
But, we've
uneconomic units as such on their own, but joined up with other blocks, and then they become more viable, Joe.
Yeah, we become originally being in sheep and beef. When I went to Lincoln, 800 ewes was a good living.
Yes.
And it gradually increased to make a living because all other expenses were shooting up.
Yes.
And it got to the stage they were talking 2,000 ewes to make a living.
Yes.
And I was trying to keep up, but by accumulating these blocks, but eventually it got to the state where it wasn't really viable, and that was one of the reasons why we went to dairying.
Yes. And the land is not really conducive to sheep rearing here with this harsh, wet climate, is it?
Yeah, that's right. It wasn't the greatest because of the climate here for sheep. And one year we had 5 weeks of rain day after day. So you could imagine what that's like when you're trying to lamb sheep.
Yeah. Well, they're up against it, aren't they? The lambs need sunlight and dry.
You get the sou'wester coming through, it gets quite cold.
So you had the vision then of amalgamating these blocks and then flipping over to dairy, and your son David was keen to help you out with that process because he'd already been in the farming industry, hadn't he?
He had a couple of years working on a dairy farm, and he knew the basics of it.
Yeah.
I'd been involved with the dairying at Lincoln when I did my practical over there, and we sort of put it all together between us.
Yes.
And we ended up with what we've got.
So you decided on a big Waikato shed right in the centre, really, of the farm?
Well, it was the way that it was happening at the time.
Yes.
Richie Van Voot out here had an early one for this area.
Yes.
I rather liked the way it worked, and we got a slightly bigger one here, and it was upgraded a bit as well, a bit later version. And so we've gone from there.
So it's done the job. It's like it's a quick and it's a 2-man operation. And
at the moment, we can make it a 1-man operation.
Yes.
But I think with the numbers we're putting through, we'd still keep the 2. But we might sort of go into cup removers and automatic sprays and things like that.
Yes.
But that's something that we've got in the future.
Yeah, they're add-ons to refine it more, Joe. Yes. Good. So to move the enterprise to dairying, Joe, involves a lot of cost.
Yeah, a big cost, but it seemed to be the thing at that time. Dairying was on the scene as an up and coming.
Yes. Because
of China and the way they produce, and we also at that stage we had quite a viable factory in Hokitika. It was doing a good job, giving good returns. That was one of the features in it, but it was also the climate. And, well, at the stage when we changed over, there were a downturn in sheep and beef weren't great, and that helped to push the argument. So, yeah, there were a few factors turned it around, and then David he'd been dairying for 2 years, and he was keen to have a go and get the place up and going as well. So I couldn't have done it by myself, but with David, a young man coming along, well, that was the ideal opportunity.
Was. Everything seemed to line up for you. Yeah. So you're got a river boundary down the back here, and that can be threatening to a dairy farm as well, but there's advantages in that as well because of the soil drainage and things, isn't there?
Oh, yeah, it can be with the floods we get, it can create a problem.
Yes.
But, well, we've done quite a lot of work there, put a lot of rock in the river.
Yes.
And it's... we've got still two problems there, but we're gradually ironing them out as finances let us.
Yes. And the machineries that you have to contour the land and take the logs and that away, that's a big bonus, wasn't it, having the diggers available?
Oh, yeah. Well, of course, it suited my purpose because when land was in a rougher state, you could buy it cheaper.
Yes.
And we managed to buy small areas, and we could clean them up and then move on, and then another one would come up. And so it worked out in our case. It was fine.
Yeah.
In fact, we bought a lot of small blocks, but they were becoming, they weren't viable here. They couldn't make enough out of them to run a tractor and things like that.
Dairy platform is a term that you used before, this one being 270 hectares dairy platform, and the block across the Waitāhu there, 200 dairy platforms. But that means that you try and move your younger stock and other stock off the block, and you've purchased other blocks not far from here, but to augment what you're doing.
Yeah, we've got that... Smith block the other side of Reefton, and we use that for rearing the young stock. They go over there as soon as they're weaned.
Yes.
And they'll stay there until they're in calf and ready to come back for the milking season.
Yes.
So they stay there sort of, over 15, 18 months. So.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, at the moment, the system we're working, it seems to... It'd be suiting what we've got. We can bring the heifers home just before calving, and they calve on the milking platform. And so it's working fine for us. And we carry on. We've always got stock over there, of course, of the next generation down.
Yes.
They're growing out over there.
Yes. And that's close proximity. They can walk back to the main block, can they? They can walk back to this block.
Yes. But we do cart quite a few in the trailer if it suits. We've got that option.
Yes.
If they're sort of heavy in calf or the odd one calves a bit early or something, we'll bring her back on the trailer. The whole area is within working distance. We don't involve a lot of travelling other than the beef block we've got.
So you mentioned the beef block. That's Copra Falls is the name of there. How many hectares is down there, Joe?
Well, actual title's 545, but the river's taken some. There's a Hara River there. And so effective actual area in grass is about 30 hectares.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's a big block, equivalent to what you've got here with this. It is
really, but it's not as good a condition, of course. It hasn't been bombed up like this, but it's working fine. We rather than kill bobby calves, kill all our calves that we don't want. We grow them out and take them up there.
Yes.
And they're up there for 12 months, and then we by the time the next season's calves are ready to come up, we sell the others off as store cattle.
Yes.
And go from there.
Good.
At the moment, we're hoping to improve that block so we can carry them through to beef or a portion of them through to beef.
Right. So you draft off the better ones that would go through another season easy and grow them on.
Actually, we've started that already.
Yes.
We've got sort of about 60 up there ready to go to the works in the next 2 weeks.
Yes.
But that's minimal at the moment compared to what we take up there, of course. But we've started what we plan to do, and once we bomb it up and get the fertiliser on it,
yes,
we'll we hope to improve those numbers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good. Another big change over the years, Joe, is the machinery to manage the farm. You know, you started off with a little TEA Ferguson, didn't you? And a single plough.
The beginning of it all.
Yes.
Of course, they were more in tune in those days.
Yes.
You know, there were no end of them around.
Yes.
And it was an amazing little tractor, really. You know, you get the implements on it and the hydraulic system.
Yes.
I had a single furrow plough. I used to break in a lot of rough ground with
Yes.
the little tractor would be there grinding away. The front would come up in the air, and when it bit into a bit of hard going. And
Shed, no, lovely. But now, when I look in your shed there, I see a great big silage.
The wagon.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, we've got a wagon for making our silage.
Yes. And swinging off the front of that is about 240 horsepower, I think, or more.
Yeah, actually 270.
Yes.
And it's a tractor to suit the going. The fact that it carries 30-something tonne
Yes.
of grass. You need it to pull it up over a silage stack.
Yes.
And, that's working fine, that unit.
But as the machinery gets bigger and better and everything like that, things are done on a bigger scale, aren't they?
Yeah, that's right. The whole thing, you've got to think a bit bigger all the time. Like, you know, when I had the TEA tractor at 24 horsepower, now we've got the screen tractor at 270 horsepower.
Yes, yeah.
It's shows how the way it's gone.
It is. So the big herd of Friesians that you've got here, beautiful line of cows there. Tell me about how you got them to this quality.
Well, money, when we converted, of course, money was a big problem. And we bought cows, well, we bought them from different areas. We even bought one guy's cull cows. They saw us through for a couple of seasons, and then we graded them out, and the better producers we hung on to and kept their replacements from. And we did our own selection at the beginning, and now.
So the computer gives you a readout of how they're going now too, doesn't it? And,
the LIC
Yes.
does all the recording and herd testing and so on, and
yes.
they keep us up to date in how they're going.
So it's a partnership with off-farm businesses as well to get them looking good. Yes.
Yes. Well, that's really a must, because it's got all every cow's got its individual number, and they've got all the records of every cow.
And so the ones coming on each year, they're in A1 condition, and
we try and grow them out to.
Yes.
That's what it's all about: keeping the animals well fed.
Yes.
And growing the young stock out. Well, if you stunt, it affects their whole lives. So you've got to grow the young ones out.
Yeah. If you've got 200 coming on, is there 200 odd cows going off, or you just numbers build?
Well, you drop a few by the wayside. Of course, well, what have we sent? We must have sent away 60 culls to the works. They're actual cull for age.
Yes.
And in between you'll get odd ones that'll have mastitis.
Yes.
And various ailments similar to that. And they'll fall by the wayside.
Right.
Just a few. And so it adds up. But by the time you spread them over the two farms,
yes,
it'll bring 120 here.
Yes.
Out of that 200, and the remainder will go to Kinsley.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So do the cows have foot problems in this type of soil here, Joe?
Oh yeah, we get, especially on the races, they get foot problems. It seems to be a thing, especially when it comes in wet, which we get, especially in the autumn. Seems to be something, the spring too, if we get it wet, that seems to make the hooves soft and then they get problems.
Yes. So your milking shed is central, but what's the biggest walk that they would have? Would they walk?
They must walk a bit over a kilometre.
Yes.
I suppose we've got that bridge across the creek and they can go down through and into the furthest block.
Yes, yeah. So that's not an onerous walk for them each day, is it? No.
It's not a big walk compared to what you hear.
Yes.
Cows do walk.
Yeah, they hear up to 5 and 6 kilometres, you know, that's a long, long way, isn't it? So,
that's right. It must be tough on them, but I think, at the moment we use once a day as quite a good a tool. If we have particularly dry or we've got cows that seem to be losing condition, we'll put them on once a day for a while.
all right.
Especially around mating. Before mating, we sort out the ones that are having a struggle, and we'll put them on once a day milking.
Yeah.
And try and boost them up.
So that big silage wagon turned up on the farm about 2 years ago now, Joe, I think.
We've had it, 2 or 3. Yeah, well, we've had 2 good seasons out of it. The first season we had a few teething problems.
Yes.
But and it is a good way to go because you're independent. You can do it yourself. It just shows, like last year, we had one guy on the mower knocking the grass down, another one raking it, and then this wagon picking it up, chopping it and putting it in the stack.
Yes.
Another guy on the stack rolling it in.
Right.
And it was a great team to see working.
Yes.
And we put in, it was about 600 or 700 tonne
Yes.
in one day there. So,
Yeah.
you know.
Good. So you do that on the Kinnersley, over the river,
Each farm,
over here at Smith's Block, and then you take the whole kit and caboodle down to the Copra, do you?
Yeah, yeah.
Good.
And it's works fine.
Yes. And the
Mostly our guys working the farm that do it. You know. We did have one chappie rolling the stack last year up at the Ahara, but
And so not baling into round bales like you, because they're more...
We tried that for a couple of years, and then it was such a hurdle getting rid of the plastic and all the rest of it. And then we were looking to get independent of it because of the cost thing, because it's having such an area, we do cut a lot of silage, and so we've gone this way.
That's worked out good. And the stock are loving that sort of food
too. They like the loose silage, every bit as good as the bale stuff.
Yes.
Every bit as good. Yeah.
So David, your main man, is the manager.
We've had some great staff, some good working people that you know, they care and they try do their best, and you can't ask better than that.
No, they turn up on time, and they.
But you know, you have to be able to select your staff. You can get snags, especially if you try getting them where they're coming off the dole. They don't like having to work, and they can't get back to the dole quick enough.
But so far you've been quite lucky with consistent staff, and they live on the farmhouses and things.
Good staff.
Yeah.
But you know, you can get snags. We've had our share.
Yes. Yeah.
And, as your age catches up, you're limited.
Keep your mind and body active.
Well, it's been my life.
Yeah.
You know, I started going out to Bill Williams was up here when I was 9 years old.
Yes.
I'd bike out from town and go around and help him, and I got caught with the bug, I suppose, and then seeing the opportunity in the area because of the semi-developed state it was in, I come back here after doing a course, and that's been my life really.
Yes.
Built around farming.
Yeah.
I've worked off farm quite a bit, but only as a means of getting money to enhance my business.
Yes. So tell me one of the most satisfying and enjoyable things about looking at your enterprise now in your 80s, Joe.
Well, it's a bit difficult at the moment because of the way the dairy company is going.
Yes.
It was such a good little company when we started for
Yes.
the first 10 or 12 years, and then people got the bug. They had to increase the thing, and they never did any studies, obviously, on how it was going to affect the farmers, and that's really let us down. You know, we started off, it was our company, it was a coast asset, and now we've turned around, we've at the stage where, unless we want to be poor farmers for the next 8-10 years, we've got to sell the thing. And that's really what hurts, the fact that they were our representatives that did it, and they got let along. And sort of growing the business doesn't always prosper. Yeah, there's more land on the coast that they could have encouraged into farming.
Yes.
If the payout had been good, there would have been more go into dairy farming.
Yeah.
But they blew the dough. They had a good asset when they started, and then of course they went to Rolleston and tried to encourage Canterbury farmers, and had to put a high temperature plant in over there, and it's all snowballed, and now we're probably in the cart. If we don't sell, we're going to be poor farmers for the next 8 or 10 years.
Yes. Yeah.
It gives me great pleasure to go around the farm and see, knowing what it was like, and what we've done to it. I think that's my biggest enjoyment I get on it now, to see what we have done and how we can carry on.
Yes. And the development of the copra block must be inspiring too.
That's what the next step is.
Yeah.
Where we're going for that. We've got quite a few steps to make there. It's a good block of land, and it's making use of the bobby calves we've got here.
Yes. Good. Well, I've enjoyed revisiting the development of Parkinson Farms here, Joe. It's lovely to go over it all. It's a credit to your tenacity and your hard work.
Well, we've had to, at times we have sort of, but then we've enjoyed what we've done.
That's true.
I think that's the main thing in life.
Yeah. And you're keeping your mind and your body active in it. So that's
that's right. Well, that's got us to the stage we're both at, and all my friends are gone now, and it gets a bit lonely when you're like that.
Yeah, good as gold. Thanks for going over all that, Joe, with me. That's good. Good.
Yeah. All right. Well,